The sport of underwater hockey has been around since the mid-1950s, when Alice cleverly invented the game she called Octopush as a way of keeping members of her sub-aqua club in England active over the cold winter months. It's played by two teams of up to 10 players, with 6 players in each team playing at any one time. The aim is to try and score by manoeuvring the puck, which weighs between 1.3 and 1.5 kilograms, with a stick not more than 35 centimeters in length, into the opponent's goal. Players hold their breath as they dive to the bottom of the pool.
Underwater hockey is played by a team of 10. There's 6 in the water at any one time and 4 swapping out. Unlimited amount of swaps. The object of the game is to get a puck, which is about 1.3 kilograms in weight, into the opponent's goals. And the team with the most goals wins.
Underwater hockey is hugely physically demanding. Swimming fitness is obviously a requirement, as is the ability to hold one's breath for as long as possible, in a similar way to free divers, all of which takes a great deal of preparation and training.
The interesting thing about underwater hockey, most people that don't know the sport will ask, how long can you hold your breath? And it's really not about the length of time that you can hold your breath. It's about how often you can hold your breath in a game. The game lasts for 30 minutes, and the expectation of an elite player is to be able to hold your breath between 15 and 20 minutes of that time. So, you know, the time, it's a three-dimensional sport. There are not many sports like it in the world, where if you're not on the bottom and holding your breath playing, you're on the surface breathing. When you're on the surface breathing, you're not in the game. So very important to be able to have a very fit set of lungs, not a big set of lungs. We're all born with the same set of lungs, but it's how you use those lungs that will give you the advantage.
South Africa is one of 25 countries affiliated to the sport's international governing body, the Confédération Mondiale des Activités Subaquatiques, or more commonly known as CMAS. The national team has attended most of the biennial World Championships and in fact hosted the 2016 Worlds in Stellenbosch. So what is the state of underwater hockey in South Africa right now?
Underwater hockey in South Africa is a complete amateur sport, so the players each fund their own way to a World Championship. That has its issues. For example, at the World Champs coming up now in Canada, it's meant that it's a more expensive tour, being so far away, and Canada also being a fairly expensive destination. That does limit the amount of players that make themselves available for World Champs, and so it is a struggle. However, we've got a group of very committed ladies and very excited ladies, and the depth of talent in South Africa is good. So, you know, it also gives the newcomers a chance to prove themselves at the highest level.
We currently don't receive very much sponsorship, so it's very hard for a lot of players to make it to Worlds because it's obviously self-funded, and a lot of us are still students studying, so it's very hard to study and fund a trip to Worlds, so quite a few players can't actually afford to go to Worlds, which is quite a loss to the team if they can't go.
Challenges-wise for underwater hockey in South Africa is definitely financial. It's not a sport that often gets sponsors, so our teams have to finance their own way to get to Canada. That is one of our biggest challenges. Also, the pools we are playing in Canada have a depth of 3 meters, which in South Africa is a very uncommon depth for pools, so we have managed to find a few pools which suit our needs. But otherwise, yeah, those are 2 main challenges in preparing for the specific World Champs.
With the regular challenges of funding and drawing new players to the sport, underwater hockey thrives on the commitment and passion of players. So what have the performances of our women's teams been like in the past?
South African underwater hockey ladies elite team has been doing pretty well in the last couple of years. 2013 in Hungary we won a bronze medal, narrowly missing out to GB in the semi-final, but beating Australia in the playoff for 3rd place. And then South Africa were lucky enough to host the World Champs in 2016, and there the ladies were pretty undefeated and won the championship, not losing a game all the way through. So reigning World Champs, and this year we go defend that title in Canada, in Quebec in July.
Underwater hockey is by no means a mainstream sport, so finding your way into the national team can be somewhat of an interesting journey. Pretoria's Zandre Kutsia was part of the gold medal winning under-19 team 3 years ago. She also went to the age group World Championships with the under-23s last year and is in the full national team. So how did she get into the sport?
I got into underwater hockey through another teammate, Eleanor. We played field hockey together since we were young, and she told me, come play underwater hockey. And at first I wasn't really convinced about this crazy sport, but eventually it just hooked me, and since then I haven't been able to stop.
At last year's age group World Championships, which were held in Hobart, Tasmania, the South African women's under-19 and under-23 teams both took bronze medals. Zandre Kutsia was a key member of the under-23 team, finishing up among the leading goal scorers.
In 2017 we played in Hobart at the World Championships as the under-23 side, where we came third. Initially we were very disappointed after losing the semi-finals to Colombia, but then we came back harder and stronger to take third place, and it was a really good achievement as the under-23 ladies have never placed at a World Championships, so we were really happy with coming third. We have quite an inexperienced team, but there's a lot of potential. So we're going there, obviously we're defending our title, but we're just going to take it one game at a time and play to our best.
The role of the team manager is very important in helping to create a positive vibe in the team. And in this regard, it does help that the manager has experience in playing at a high level.
The role of the manager is basically to get the teams there. That's your flight, sort out the accommodation, from the kits to the training camps that we have been having to prep our teams for World Champs in Canada.
The 2018 World Championships will be the 20th edition and will be held in July in the Canadian city of Quebec. The South African team are working hard to be in the best physical condition possible, but importantly, it's the team spirit that will ultimately play the biggest role in getting them through the tough times.
Spirit is good. Both the men and ladies teams are very excited. We are actually 4 months exactly away from our first game at Worlds, so time is creeping up very quickly, but the spirits are good, and everybody's getting very excited.
A successful sports team relies to a great extent on finding the balance between individuals. The cohesion and bond that exists between players is often the key to success. Individuals score goals, but teams win matches, as the saying goes. Owning that ahead of this year's World Championships is vital for the South African women's team.